Something that I don't think gets talked about enough, and we've definitely lost this over time. Like when you think about the Nintendo Switch, you have the first iteration, then the second model. You got the OLED, and sure, you have like a Smash version. Animal Crossing's maybe the only one that's like very visually different. But when you travel back to the 90s, even from like Apple Mac computers all the way to N64, the freaking Game Boy Color, the Game Boy, one of the best things for me, and I don't know about you guys, was it wasn't just about getting the console, but which color and style. Did you guys really care about that growing up?
I enjoy those different styles, but what ends up happening is I usually get the system relatively early, like within the first 2 years, and they're just not out yet. So for the N64, I just had the original black N64 and didn't have any of the other variations, and they were really cool. But if you get it early, same with the Nintendo Switch, things like that. The only place maybe I got a little bit of a different variation, and I'm glad Nintendo did still continue it on, is with the handheld stuff, right? The DS, the 3DS got tons and tons and tons of variations. So I'm glad it continued in that way, even though you didn't see it as much with the more modern consoles like the Wii U and the Switch. I guess you kind of get a little bit, and you can kind of throw your own personality in there by getting different colored Joy Cons and stuff like that. But yeah, not quite, doesn't quite hit the same like those N64 variations.
Yeah, I've never, like, I think it's cool to have all those variations, but I've never thought to myself, oh, even though I have this console, I need to go get another one because there's a really cool limited edition one. I just kind of end up with the one I have and I'm okay with it. It's awesome that they exist, especially the really, really weird ones, like some of those N64 colors that came out. And, really, it's all Nintendo systems. Like, how there was like that atomic orange GameCube at one point. Like they go wild with that
In Japan,
stuff.
there was an awesome GameCube. It was like the orange one. I think a lot of people say like that was the one to get just because visually it was so vibrant.
There's a Canadian Wii that's red that only came out in Canada.
Shout out a lot of really Canadian good stuff there. Wii. But what I love about this, especially in the 90s, I was like Ryan, where I don't think I ever got one of these variations, even though I always wanted it, because the whole point of this, let's be honest, it's like, yeah, they look cool. The whole thing is double dipping or late adopters that are still thinking about it. Oh, but check out this new color. And I think it was awesome. In my case, later on with other consoles, I would get the controllers for it. But just to give you a peek of just how many of them we had. So we had the Toys R Us Gold console, and this is actually one of the more expensive ones because it was like the shiny gold with the controller. I guess like Skyward Sword and that Wii bundle maybe be the most similar thing. We got the Fire Orange. We got a purple one. In the 90s, like it was all about translucent, transparent stuff. That also happened in around the 2000s. Talk to me about that Jungle Green Donkey Kong 64. Did you care about that one, Ryan? Because I know you were somewhat of a fan of the game.
I don't think I knew it existed at the time, and I was just happy to get Donkey Kong 64 because it was like $100 because it came with the expansion.
The expansion.
Pack. So I was not even. I'm like, I know I'm never getting that. I'll just please let me get the game, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's another weird one.
Yeah, it is. And hey, Keith, I mean, you love some Star Wars. There was actually a bundle because not always did they come with a game, right? But they did have the Star Wars Episode 1 Racer bundle. As an adult, because you're a Star Wars collector, I'm curious if somebody said, Keith, complete unbox $400, and that it would be a lot more. But let's just say, what if? Would you actually want to get that version knowing it's like Star Wars branded and everything?
No.
I tried.
Keith is he's a different breed.
I'm not that type of person though. Like I said, I've always been happy with the one I got. Like even as an adult, even with disposable income, how they have like the Destiny white PS4 and stuff. I've never been into that. Like I get the one I get. If there's an option to have a limited edition one when I'm in the market to get that console, I'll look at it. Sure, if it's not in like an insane amount of money. Like I ended up getting Oh, what was it? It was like an exclusive color 3DS when I got mine. I'll have to dig it up and
there was like a Galaxy type of one.
Mm-hmm. They had a lot of 3DSs. Like this really lived on Nintendo's portables. But if I get it, then great. But I wouldn't go out of my way to get something like a special Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer N64 just because, I love the Star Wars. And even though I love the Star Wars, I don't love it that much.
I mean, it's a lot. But the one that I think a lot of people, especially now collectors, because you got Nintendo, you got the Pokemon, right? So you put those two things together and you have that blue, that half blue, half yellow N64, but it didn't have a painted on Pikachu. It's like it's actually changing
Wasn't it like
the
a piece
molding.
of plastic that
it was
like
basically like
attached
molded to have a Pikachu on it. And I think the reset button was like Pikachu's foot, and then you had a Pokeball to turn on the system.
I think that would be, considering the N64, like the 90s, right? I think after the basic black console, this would be the one to get, just for the sake of like, this is the 90s summarized in one console, right?
I disagree.
I see it a lot at game shops.
Well, and maybe
I honestly,
this is
I don't
nostalgia.
I don't love the design. I'll be honest. I don't love it.
Yeah,
loud.
it's a little tacky. It's very tacky, very loud, and maybe this is just personal nostalgia. But if I'm saying the one N64 console to get, the variation, it's that atomic purple, that see-through, transparent purple that just screams the 90s for that exact reason. And then, again, maybe that's because it's the one I had, but when I think N64, the first thing that comes to mind is that transparent purple controller that just, collected dust a little differently, like just grime found its way to that thing.
I do have the purple controller when I got it at a yard sale, but also for the video version, this is actually a USB N64 controller, but it does the same design, like the orange see-through design. But yeah, I do have a purple one stashed away. That's a real N64 controller. But that was like the settle, right? Yeah. You didn't get the system, but at least you could get the cool see-through controller. Because, with N64, you definitely wanted to have extra controllers around because of the amazing amount of multiplayer games.
Hey, we really hope you enjoyed this podcast clip. And if you did, guess what? You can listen to the full episode right now by searching for Quest Rewind on your favorite podcast app, including Spotify. And while you're at it, follow us over there so you never miss a new episode.